Hello and welcome to this how-to guide for playing Hashrate Hustle. First, let's see how to set the game up. The 4 basic action cards, indicated by the single gear icon, should be placed like so, ensuring you've picked the correct side for the number of players. Beneath these we have the Enterprise action cards, which should be placed with the closed side up. Along the top we have the mempool, which consists of 3 face-up block cards. The rest of the block cards are stacked face down, forming the transactions deck. Optionally, you can pick 2 of the advanced action cards, identified by the multiple gears icon. Each player is given 3 Bitcoin to begin, and the Genesis starter token goes to the player who most recently stacked some Bitcoin. The player with the Genesis token goes first and can either use an action or pass. Here, player 1 is going to use the block subsidy action by placing 1 Bitcoin on the action's token space and receiving 2 Bitcoins from the Bitcoin supply in return. Now it's player 2's turn. They decide to purchase the Noster block, so they pay the fee indicated on the card by placing the number of Bitcoins on the node runner's action space. In return, they receive the unconfirmed Noster block in their node, which is placed horizontally to indicate it's unconfirmed. Unless stated otherwise, any benefits or victory points will only count once the block has been confirmed. Play continues in this manner until all players have passed. Player 1 decides to use the block subsidy action again, placing 1 Bitcoin token on the empty action space and receiving 2 Bitcoin from the Bitcoin supply in return. Once all action spaces have been used, it can't be used again until the next round. Player 2 wants to confirm their Noster block, so they pay 2 Bitcoin to the miner and turn the Noster block vertical to indicate that it's confirmed. Player 1 now purchases the Volcano mining block by paying the node runner the amount specified, in this case 4 Bitcoin. The unconfirmed block is added to their node. Player 2 decides to pass as they have no Bitcoin. Player 1 also passes. Now that all players have passed, play moves on to the maintenance phase. First, check if anyone has 7 confirmations, which would signify the end of the game. In this scenario, player 1 has no confirmations and player 2 has 1 confirmation. Next, take into account maintenance effects from any confirmed blocks. In this instance, player 1's block is unconfirmed and player 2's block has no maintenance effects, so nothing needs to be done. Prepare for the next round by clearing the Bitcoin tokens from the action cards, giving each player 1 Bitcoin and refilling the mempool with cards from the transactions deck. The next round commences as before, with the player holding the Genesis token going first. In this case, player 1 decides to use the block subsidy action, placing 1 Bitcoin on the empty action space and receiving 2 Bitcoin in return from the Bitcoin supply. Player 2 also uses the block subsidy action. Player 1 now pays 2 Bitcoin to the miner in order to confirm the Volcano mining block in their node. Player 2 uses the early adopter action, paying 1 Bitcoin and receiving 1 Bitcoin from the Bitcoin supply and the Genesis starter token in return. Player 1 uses the Giza Fund action, paying 1 Bitcoin and receiving 3 in return. All other players receive 1 Bitcoin. Player 2 continues by using the node runner to purchase the liquid cooling block from the mempool, placing it as an unconfirmed block in their node. Player 1 passes. Player 2 also passes, so we move on to the maintenance phase. First, we check if anyone has 7 confirmations. Player 1 has no confirmations and player 2 has only 1 confirmation. Next, we take into account any maintenance effects. Since the Volcano mining block in player 1's node is now confirmed, they receive 3 Bitcoin. Player 2 does not have any confirmed blocks with maintenance effects. Each player receives 1 additional Bitcoin from the Bitcoin supply, and then the mempool is refilled by revealing the top card from the transactions deck until there are 3 face-up cards in the mempool. All Bitcoin on the action cards are returned to the Bitcoin supply. Since player 2 now holds the Genesis starter token, they go first. Play continues until, during the maintenance phase, a player achieves 7 confirmations. This will signal the end of the game and scoring commences. The player with the most confirmations wins the game. If it's a tie, the player with the most blocks in their node wins. This includes both confirmed and unconfirmed blocks. If it remains a tie, the player with the most Bitcoin tokens in their node wins. Failing that, if it's still a tie, the player whose age is closest to 21 wins the game.